This whole video is just a mess. Hey everybody, and welcome back to my channel. This is going to be a first impression and wear test on a foundation and concealer. I wanted to get the corresponding concealer with the foundation, but I couldn't find it at my local Walmart. But I did find a different concealer than what I was looking for, so I figured I would try it out still, just because it intrigued me and I kind of want to see what it's all about. Also, I've been a little bit sick, so if you kind of hear a little bit of sickness in my voice, I am getting over a bit of a cold, so please bear with me. So with that, I do have a little bit of like dry skin around my nose, so I feel like this will be a good impression to see if it works with drier skin as well as more semi-oily. You know, it is winter time and it's been super cold here, so my skin has been a little bit on the drier side. It hasn't been as oily as usual, but my skin is naturally combination oily. So yeah, we're just gonna go ahead and test out this foundation, which is the new L'Oreal Infallible Fresh Wear foundation, and it's supposed to be good for up to 24 hours, which I definitely won't be wearing it for that long, but I will try to wear it as long as possible throughout the day, just so we can get a pretty good idea of the lasting power of it. And yeah, I'm excited for this. And then for the concealer, I'm going to be testing out the Rimmel Stay Matte Concealer. I've never seen this before. I just was going through the aisles at Walmart and I saw this and I was like, oh, I didn't know that they had a concealer like this, so I wanted to try it out. I really do like the Stay Matte line. I like the powders and the foundation and all that they have come out with, so I'm excited to see how this concealer is, and I haven't really heard much about it. So we're just going to go ahead and get straight into testing these products out. So I'm going to go ahead and start out as priming my face as normal, and if you've never seen any of my first impression videos or foundation reviews, I like to do it as I normally would. So I do use primers and setting sprays and powders as I normally would, because that's how I wear the foundation. I like to pretty much lock in my foundation because I do, like I said, have combination oily skin, so I do take all of those measures to make it last throughout the day. So that's what I'm going to be doing now. So I'm going to start off with the Smashbox So Chill Coconut Photo Finish Primer Water. I like to use this primer because it is more of a hydrating primer, and like I said, it is a lot colder and drier air now that it's winter here, so I do like to just refresh my skin and give it a little bit of hydration before going in with my other primers. Then I'm going to go in with my Cover FX Blurring Primer, and I'm just going to use this to fill in like my pores and kind of put it down my T-zone. Okay, and while I let that kind of settle into my skin, let's go ahead and see what the claims are for this foundation. So let me look it up online really quick. So online it says, "Be unstoppable. Introducing our breakthrough longwear foundation with breathable skin technology. Up to 24-hour fresh wear foundation provides medium to full buildable coverage that lasts all day and allows the skin to breathe. The formula's 3 oil absorbers resist sweat, water, and transfer. The ultra-thin liquid goes on smoothly to get a fresh, healthy-looking complexion that lasts. Color stays true and blends in evenly, so your makeup looks fresh all day. Non-comedogenic and formulated with SPF, the foundation is suitable for all skin types and 30 shades for every skin tone." Sounds pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and do one side with a sponge and one side with a brush just to see which way I like it better. And I got the shade 480 Radiant Sand. I'm not sure how this is going to look, so let's see. And it just looks like this. It has a nice little pump on the bottle, which is very nice. It doesn't really look like it has like any locking features, but it comes with a cap to put over it. So off the bat, it is kind of a runny foundation, like more of a liquidy foundation. So I am intrigued. Okay, so I'm going to start off with my sponge, and I'm just using the Morphe, I think it's like the contouring sponge or something. It's just one of their sponges. So this color looks like it might be like a tad bit too light. On camera it looks pretty good, but just in person it's either a little bit too light or I just need a little bit more yellow pigment in it. I don't know. Okay, I'm sorry about that. My mic was having technical difficulties, so I think up until this point you probably don't have very good audio. I apologize for that. But this is what the foundation is looking like. I feel like on camera it looks like it matches a little better than in person. I just feel like between my neck and my face, I can just see that I need a bit more of like a yellowy undertone. It's just not looking like the correct undertone, but because it is a little bit more on the sheerer side, it's not as obvious, if that makes any sense. I definitely think that this is more of a medium coverage, as it said, so, you know, I would try and build it up a little bit more. So I think what I'm going to do is go ahead and just do one more pump and add a little bit of my yellow mixing pigment from LA Girl, just to see if it helps it to match a little bit better to my skin, but that doesn't add much coverage or anything like that. So I just put one pump of the foundation and then a little bit of the yellow mixing pigment because it is pretty pigmented. Obviously it's a pigment, and you can just see there that it is much more of a yellow undertone, and I feel like this is going to match a little bit better. So I definitely think with that yellow pigment added, it does match my skin a little bit better and the undertone a lot better. As for the foundation itself, I think it is definitely buildable. It blends out really nicely. You can get it to be a little bit more medium full coverage. I think this isn't completely full coverage. Like, I can still kind of see my skin through it, but it does even it out and kind of covers up. So I think that it's more of like a natural medium full coverage, if that makes sense. I don't know how to like explain what I'm trying to say. Like, it's not like it looks more natural still. It doesn't look like you have a bunch of foundation caked on, but it still did cover up my hyperpigmentation, even out my skin tone. So I do like it for that. I'm gonna go ahead and do the other side with a brush and see if that changes and makes it a little bit more full coverage. Okay, so this is what the foundation looks like on the side with the brush. I definitely think that it did allow that little bit of foundation to go a lot longer of a way, and it also did give me fuller coverage right off the bat. It does look like a little bit heavier on the skin. It doesn't look as kind of like blended into my skin as the sponge side. So I think I like the coverage of the brush, but I like the kind of like blendedness of the sponge. So I'm just gonna go over the brush side with the sponge just to kind of push it into my skin and see if that helps. I don't know. I feel like on my dry skin, it's definitely clinging to dry skin. So I feel like if you have drier skin, either really prep your skin and make sure you don't have many dry patches, because like I said, I am sick right now. So on my nose, it is a little bit drier and rougher skin, and I can just see it kind of clinging to those areas and not looking the greatest. So I don't know if you can really tell, but I feel like on my nose, it's really just kind of gripping to the drier skin and like the flakiness. So if you have dry, flaky skin, I don't think it's going to be the best foundation for you. Or just completely make sure that you're completely exfoliated before using it. But yeah, I don't know if you can see it like right here. I want you to be like all up in my nose, I'm sorry. But I just probably want you to see like what I'm talking about. Over here doesn't look like there's that much coverage, but I don't want to go into too much foundation because we are going to be using that concealer that I talked about before. So I'm going to go in with the Rimmel Stay Matte Concealer now and test it out. I feel like this is going to be a little bit too dark for me. I got the shade 142 Linen, but I feel like, actually no, it should be fine. I'm a lot paler than I think I feel like sometimes. I feel like I still think I have my like summer tan, and girl, you don't. You're pale now, so deal with it. But so this is a bit of a, like, it's not as runny as I thought it would be. Like, it's a little bit of a thicker consistency, but not super thick, if that makes sense. So it's not like as thick as like the shark. It's not as thick as like the Tarte Shape Tape, but it's not like a super runny consistency either. I don't feel like it's gonna have that much coverage just from looking at it and kind of how it feels. I feel like it's not going to give me amazing coverage. And I feel like I probably should have done one eye at a time so I could really compare the coverage, but it's too late now. It definitely blends out really nicely. I think this looks really good, and that's actually giving me more coverage than I anticipated. It's not like super full coverage, but it is giving me some coverage. But I feel like it's kind of lifting like right here. Let me put a little bit more on and just see if you can build it up. Just gonna put some like right here in the inner corner where I have like the darkest part of my eye. Ooh, definitely buildable. I really like this. I feel like I look so pale right now. Oh my gosh, like, whew, I need some bronzer ASAP. But honestly, I think I like that concealer. It looks really nice. Let me get all up close and personal with myself. I like the concealer, but I don't know if I like it in conjunction with this foundation. I definitely need to test it out with like other foundations that I know I like better. Firsthand, I feel like I like the concealer. I just feel like it's not mixing well with this foundation, but it's not like the worst thing ever. I don't know, I'm like really confused with how this is going, but let me go ahead and finish off my makeup really quickly, and then I'll be right back to show you what it looks like with everything set. Hopefully, you know, I get a little bit more coverage from my powders and stuff, and I'll come back and we'll do a really quick overview of the face. Alright, so this is what I look like with the makeup fully done, and I really actually like it. I feel like once I powdered and set everything and put some color back in my face, because my gosh, am I pale right now, I feel like everything just kind of came together, and I really like the way that this foundation looks. I feel like it's a everyday kind of glam foundation, so once you set it and put everything on top of it, I feel like it just kind of like melts into the skin and melted into the foundation and blended really well on top of it. So it's not like super duper full coverage, but it still isn't super lightweight, so it's kind of like in the middle. So I feel like it would be good for like every day because it's not super heavy, but it's also not like super lightweight You know what I mean? Does that make sense? Hopefully it does. So yeah, I am actually very pleasantly surprised at how it looks with everything on. I was kind of not sure how I was going to feel about it, but like I said, I didn't want to give my final opinion until I saw everything on top of it, because obviously, like you can see, once you put all of the powders and set it and all that, you know, the foundation does kind of change and look completely different than just blended out with nothing on top of it. So keep that in mind. So yeah, the time right now is 12:18. So it took me, I probably had the foundation on, started putting it on around like 11:30ish, I want to say. So yeah, I really like the way that the concealer looks set underneath the eyes. I think it brightened really nice, and it did cover up those darkness that I had under my eyes because I am not getting much sleep. As far as setting my concealer, I did go ahead and use the Rimmel Stay Matte Translucent Loose Powder because I figured it was the same line as the concealer, so they're probably meant to go together, and they just work super well together. Looks really nice and smooth, and I don't really see much creasing once you blend it out and set it. I feel like the creasing doesn't really happen. But I don't really have too much of an issue with creasing on a day-to-day anyway, so I'm probably not like the best person for that. But as far as for me, I really don't see much creasing. So yeah, I think, like I said, the foundation really melted into the skin nicely. The only issue that I have is, you know, around my nose where I said I do have the dryness, but you know, putting the powder on and then setting it did help a lot, but it is still, you know, a little bit crumbly, I guess. It's like the best way to describe it. It just really clings on to those dry areas and doesn't look the best. But other than that, I'm liking it so far. So it is super rainy and gloomy outside, so not the best weather, but we'll see how it kind of lasts throughout the day. Also, it says it doesn't have any transfer, so I wanted to test that. Let me get like a tissue and I'm gonna press it onto, well, that's the thing. I feel like if I do get transfer, it might be like the powders though, right? I don't know. I'll see. Let me just try this transfer test. I don't know how accurate it will be, but let's try it. I just have a tissue here, and I'm gonna press. Oh, I got my lipstick. So I don't know if you can see, like, there's a very, very, very like light tint, but honestly there's not really that much transfer, so I am pleasantly surprised by that, because a lot of the times, you know, if you're like hugging somebody and they have a white shirt, you have to, like, you know, put your head out so you don't want like your makeup to get all over their shirt. So I feel like, I mean, if I'm like wiping, let me see, if I'm like hugging somebody, hi, I feel like this might be a good one for that. So I will say that I think the transfer claim proofs are good. Medium to full buildable coverage I do think is also accurate. Overall, I feel like it's pretty good. So yeah, I'm going to come back in a little bit and I'll see how it lasts after a couple of hours, and then I'll do a couple of check-ins throughout the day. So stay tuned. Alright guys, so I am back and the time is now 11:35. So it's been basically 12 hours, and whoa, my lips are looking super dry. Hold on. So after work, I actually ended up going to Dave & Buster's for my uncle's birthday, and I was there a lot longer than I anticipated. So I'm just now getting home. It has been a full 12-hour wear of this foundation, which is good for you guys because you get to see how it lasted for that long. Not so good for me because by this point I am just beat, ready to go to sleep, and I have to be back to work in like less than 7 hours. So let's get this going so that I can get to bed. So honestly, I'm very pleasantly surprised by how this lasted. Now obviously it did, you know, take a bit of a beating. It has been 12 hours. I don't expect any foundation to look perfect after 12 hours, especially with no touch-ups. So with that taken into account, I think that this has lasted very well. One thing I will say is I do see like my mascara is flaking off at the bottom, so I don't know if that is due to my mascara or the concealer itself. So I would keep testing out the concealer with other foundations and other mascaras and see, but I did just notice that there is like a little bit of darkness from my mascara flaking underneath my eyes. As far as the wear, I feel like there is like a little bit of fading, but nothing too crazy. Like my bronzer is still there. My blush definitely did fade away a bit on this side. Highlight still popping. This side, I feel like again the blush has kind of faded. You can see a little bit, but it's not as, you know, fresh as it was before. But again, it's been 12 hours. You know, it's pretty much gone from around my nose because I've been wiping my nose, so obviously that has been a given. It is starting to, I feel like, break up a little bit around my nose right here, so that's not so good. And then I just see a little bit of oils. Now it is the dead of winter, it is super cold outside, so my skin is not oily at the moment. Like, it doesn't really produce much oils because it's just so dry outside and the air. So the weather has been affecting my skin, so I feel like a lot of foundations are going to work a little bit better with my skin. I don't know how this would do when my skin is a lot more oily towards the spring and the summer. So I feel like it's good for winter because I don't have too many oils being produced. But I feel like at this stage in the spring or the summer, it might be a completely different story because my oils would be completely poking through. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a quick close-up, and then we're going to try and touch it up, and then we're going to head out to bed. Okay? So I'm just gonna do a quick blot. Like I said, I don't feel like oils are a big issue right now. My skin is on the drier side, so really not that much. And then just take a bit of like a foundation powder just for a little bit extra coverage. My sponge. Pat it up in here maybe. And then spray. So this is what it's looking like once we've touched it up a little bit. You know, it's definitely not terrible. I definitely think that this is a good foundation for every day, especially for work. When you're having longer hours, I feel like it's going to last really well. I'm very highly surprised by it, honestly. I didn't think I was going to like it, but I think I'm liking it. I would probably prefer the foundation over the concealer just from what the concealer is looking like right now. I definitely want to try it out with other concealers and see if it was the concealer or the foundation or the mixture of the two causing the issues underneath my eyes. But other than that, the foundation itself was really good. The concealer I'm going to keep on trying, but as of now I'm kind of not really liking the longevity of it or like the wear of it so far, but I will definitely keep you guys posted. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. I am so sorry for all of the technical difficulties with the microphone and everything. My next video will not have those issues, but thank you guys so much for sticking through it, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.